Let the dragon consume you! Enemy sighted. Stop the payload! Stop the payload! In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Birdwatcher's back at it one more time. Here's your host, Ryan and Clay. They're about to bring you some sweet Overwatch action.
That is right. We are back with, what episode are we on? 16?
I think it's
15?
16.
Yeah, 16.
16, yeah.
And we only got 2 weeks left until we got some playoff action.
Yeah, until we disappear for a year, right?
Yeah. I'm going to take a nice, long vacation. I've made so much money off this show that I can really go anywhere I want.
Nice long sabbatical.
You didn't know about the money, did you, Ryan?
I did not, unfortunately. This is big news to me.
Yeah, Gillette has been giving me all these endorsements. Man, this guy's got a lot of facial hair. He needs a blade sponsor. And they gave me one, so...
No,
but
man,
yes.
you gotta know the known one is Harry Shavers, man. That's the one.
Is that a new one?
Yeah, that's the one that all the podcasts do. It's Harry Shavers or something like that. Shavers or I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm
probably butchering the name.
I do the $5 Shave Club. Maybe they can.
Oh, okay, that's another one. Yeah,
I don't think they do anybody right now. So
is it
that
solid
or Squatty Potty?
Is it what's that?
You don't know what the Squatty Potty is?
No.
Not to go out of. I mean, we're supposed to be talking about Overwatch. The Squatty Potty eases your way in, on the potty.
Oh.
Yeah. So it elevates your feet to relieve pressure. Yeah. Check it out, man. It's a work of art, and if I could,
it's a more natural position.
Yeah, feels good. Yeah.
For us mammals.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we got this. So we got week 4, which we'll talk about tonight, and then we got week 5, and then we know who's going to the playoffs.
Pretty much.
I think we already have some guys already wrapped up. Yeah. So one LA team for sure, and New York for sure getting in there. But yeah, so you want to get into some news?
Yeah, so I mean, this week we had a bunch of PTR changes, right? And a lot of things that people wanted, and a lot of things that people didn't really expect. So endorsements. I don't know if there's any news about endorsements. It felt like it came out of nowhere. I know people wanted a system to be able to give people merits.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't even know they were working on anything. Like, they never kind of tipped their hand on that.
Yeah, this is kind of new to me, too. Besides this developer update, I had not known this was in the works, but it's cool. Seems like a good idea. Kind of reward people instead of, because we got all the report and all that kind of thing going on. Now we're doing the positive stuff.
Yeah, we got all the put the people in jail types of things.
Yeah,
the jails are full. Now now we have to rehabilitate.
Yeah, pat them on the back.
And then the other one that kind of connects to that one that I looked into was the Looking For group, and we're not going to go deep into that one. There's plenty of like 10-minute plus videos of that because it's kind of I wouldn't say it's sloppy. It's a robust first attempt. Like, they're trying to cover their bases.
Yep.
I think one thing they did do right is that it's not a part of the actual matchmaking system. It's removed from that. So essentially, you create a lobby of sorts like you would for a custom game, and you say, okay, I want to make a 6-stack, and you want to do 2-2-2. And then once you set those rules, you can also put that requirements as far as this person has a mic, this person doesn't have a mic, this person has a certain endorsement level, etc. And then people that meet that criteria can then join your group. And once your group is filled, you just queue right into either comp, quick play, or arcade. And that's pretty much the gist of it. It's a lot more intimidating than I made it sound. But I think people get used to it, and it kind of gives them a baseline to start from. So,
yeah, definitely a little confusing getting into it. But yeah, a couple months down the road, people will get a hold of it, or hold of how to use it and stuff like that. And I think it'll be pretty cool to mess around with for sure.
Yeah.
What else we got on the PTR? Yeah,
Symmetra.
Symmetra changes, which we knew these were coming. They had hinted that they were going to change Symmetra up, and this is after a change. She got a change about 6 months, almost a year ago now. They changed her up a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a while.
They added she has the shield generator and the teleporter, so they've changed that up quite a bit. She actually doesn't have a locked on mechanism now. You actually have to aim that. She also has a ability to throw her turrets now, so they don't.
That's cool.
Yeah, doesn't have to set them up. Easy to throw them out there, and they slow a little bit more than they used to.
Do you know if they shoot while they're traveling?
I don't. They don't shoot while they're traveling.
Okay, until they hit. Okay, that's cool.
And this is all PTR, so stuff will change. She also has the cooldown is or no cooldown, but she doesn't have 6 anymore. She only has 3. Damage increased, the slowed increase. The teleporter is a little bit different now. It's similar to what the Warlock had in WoW, where you set up 2 sides of the turret or the teleporter.
Yeah.
And you can shoot it one side and set up the other.
Wait,
and go through it.
You played World of Warcraft?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for a long time.
I didn't know that. I did
man.
too. I mean, I don't know how that never came up.
Yeah. I played early and then just got sucked into it, and then kind of dabbled every time they made a new expansion.
Okay.
So yeah, some fun. You remember the Warlock teleporter?
Yeah. Of
it's
course.
similar to it's similar to that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested to see what things they allow to go through it and what they don't.
Yeah, so they say more things can teleport through it. Junkrat Tire is an example. So
because it's not fast enough, right?
It can go through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, hey, we're going to slow the tire down, but now it can transport across the map.
Yeah.
So still,
That'll be scary. It'll be cool to see how people use it. Obviously, it's a big change for Symmetra because she's going to be played a lot different. So, and her new ultimate, instead of having the teleporter and the shield generator, she has a photon barrier, which is a giant shield, which is really strange to look at on the map.
It is.
Like, I don't know if you've seen any videos of this.
Yes.
It's insane to look at.
Well, I remember the leaked footage or the leaked images, and I thought that was like a Photoshop joke.
Yeah.
And then they showed it, and I was like, oh, they were serious.
It's like the damn wall from Game of Thrones, man.
Exactly.
You got to get a damn dragon to get through this thing.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so we got some smaller changes to Doomfist, where his movement speed and meteor strike, which is ultimate, is up from 150 to 200%. His shield gain from his abilities is up from 30 to 35, given a little bit more survivability, because I think that's one thing he was kind of lacking. You know, we had the Doomfist where he's one-shotting people. No one liked that. Maybe give him a little bit more survivability. He'll be more optimal. And then we got the range on Deadeye increased from 70 to 200, and then the ultimate cost on Orisa reduced by 15%, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
The only other thing I saw in the PTR, and I think a lot of people will kind of skip over this, but the combat can now be heard 25% further away. I thought that was kind of cool. You know,
Just it's general fighting.
Yeah, general fighting 25% further away. Just kind of give you a better idea. It's more of like that first-person shooter, because in first-person shooter, sound is almost, besides mechanical shooting and skill, it's really important to just know where your enemy is.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some smaller changes too, but we'll get into those once they actually hit the actual servers. Like the Horizon Lunar Colony map still getting messed with. Some other stuff just getting messed with. So we'll talk about that when it hits for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anything else news-wise for you, Ren?
Nothing else really. Nothing that comes to mind. So I mean, we can just hop into it.
Yeah, hop into some games. Let's do it.
Yeah, so we start with Wednesday. And this week was interesting, because you have a lot of teams that have been already knocked out, but they're playing teams that currently are still fighting for those spots, one of them being my Outlaws. But we'll get to that.
They're fighting, baby.
So we have our honorable mentions. Our matches of the week, we have Seoul Dynasty versus Boston Uprising. We have Boston Uprising taking that 3-1. Dynasty struggling this week, but Boston also struggling. So I don't know who's struggling more. I guess that means Dynasty, right?
Right, because Dynasty's still fighting for the spot. Boston, doing so well in the past stage, has kind of locked up their spot, I want to say. Yeah. I'm going to look at the exact standings real quick. At 24, I think they're locked in. So Seoul's the one really fighting, but Boston definitely on the back end. Last couple of maps, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have Shanghai Dragons for pretty much what we guessed was their last shot at getting that one win of the season against
right.
Florida Mayhem, and they don't pull it out. Florida takes it 3-2.
Yep.
They're perfect. I don't know if there's ever been a sport where the first year of its induction that one of the teams gets no wins.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before the cast. Are they gonna bring in new people? I was on the end saying they probably were gonna bring a total new team in at this point. Mm-hmm. We got a huge gap between now and the next season. You have plenty of time to try these guys and get some synergy going. There's still no synergy. I was watching some of these games just because people were messaging me to say, hey, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. Florida, not much better. But Shanghai Dragons, just ultimates used after fights are over. It still seemed like there was no leadership, no coordination. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see going into the next season.
Yeah, and then we get into the map of this day for us, which is the Houston Outlaws versus the Dallas Fuel. So let me start by saying this is nerve-wracking because we're in a situation now where we kind of have to win out. We have 4 games remaining, and for us to have a playoff chance, and the 4 we have remaining are the Dallas Fuel, which is this day. We have the Los Angeles Valiant at the end of the week, and then we have Philadelphia Fusion and NYXL. Not particularly an easy schedule to end on, and we can only lose one of those games.
Right.
So it's nerve-wracking. So this is probably the easiest one out of that batch, I would think.
Yeah, probably. Let me ask you real quick. Is it the battle in Texas? Is it as exciting as the battle in Los Angeles?
Hell no. So do they ever? So how do they advertise it? Because I've never seen any graphics, like infographics, where it's like Battle for Texas 4.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember going into the season, one of the first stages or one of the first weeks. This was we had this matchup, and it was huge because obviously both these teams, Houston especially, looking really good out the gates. It was much more popular, right? Not so much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. It's Fuel were too. There's too much stuff going on.
Right.
Where Houston didn't really have all that drama. They didn't really have any drama. I mean, the most drama we had was the whole Tracer debacle, right?
Right.
But outside of that, Dallas Fuel took the cake on that one.
Yeah.
But let's hop into it. So we start off with Kings Row here. And like I said, this is probably one of the easiest matches we have out of the schedule. So obviously nerve-wracking. But, the theme here is like Doomfist. We got to see some Doomfist, and we got to hear a lot about Doomfist. And we've seen a lot of Doomfist. I said Doomfist 3 times, so he's probably going to pop out of my mirror or something. But we hear a lot about, is Doomfist underplayed because he got a bad rep in previous weeks, even on ladder. People will say, okay, and not till Brogan came out were people honestly thinking about, playing Doomfist. And we're starting to see him a lot more in compositions being picked on purpose, not just to stall out points. But here on Kings, we start out pretty standard, right? We start off with Dallas Fuel on attack. They use the double snipe comp, and that's against Houston, who's doing the high ground defense on that ledge that everybody's familiar with. But we do something kind of weird here where we sit on the ledge too long, way too long. So what Dallas Fuel end up doing is they just kind of get on point and then attack us from below while we don't do anything. And by the time we decide to finally contest point, it's kind of too late, and it forces us to reposition. You can't get Orissa's shield back up. It's not ideal, and they're able to cap it. So it kind of looks bad there. And then for point 2, Dallas Fuel kind of dominates that as well because Seagull immediately gets a 5K Space Dragon, which is embarrassing because they get the Graviton at the corner, that first corner, and then he shoots it through the Graviton, and the people running back just kind of run through the dragon.
Yeah.
So everybody dies.
It was so hard to tell.
90% there.
Yeah, it was so hard to tell in that moment if it was an accident or just like, shit, we should just wipe this up, and, start from scratch, at the hill there. It was hard to tell. Yeah,
exactly. It was very embarrassing. And then they get it about 90% up, and then immediately when we get a nice even fight again, OG has a 6 shatter. He's real good. Like I knew people were talking about him because of all of his boosting and all that stuff and how he's hated overseas and all that nonsense. But it's one of those cases where I didn't really understand how good he was, and they showed his stats at the beginning of this night. And you gotta remember, he's only been in the league, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, and he's already crushing it as far as performance, just in general. Like, His Reinhardt is really good. His, Winston is amazing. And it's one of those cases where I didn't expect it. And he's one of the more confident players as well. So obviously you don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt, right?
Right.
But yeah, so we move into point 3. This is where we kind of hold it out. We were finally able to stall them for the first time at that corner. Finally get into that cadence, and this is where the communication starts to pick up. And we even have a failed Space Dragon, but we're able to hold it with some follow-up picks. So it's pretty solid. I mean, Seagull does continue to perform well on his Hanzo. He has a 2K Dragon, and they're able to kind of get past that initial stall. But then we have our last minute, pretty much the only good Space Dragon we have on this round is right at that point, and then Jake does a 6 swap to Bastion, which is probably one of the smartest swaps he's done in a while to kind of hold them off from getting a legitimate attempt in overtime. So we're able to get that full hold. Very impressive at the very end to pick it up because, usually when you're getting rolled over like that, it kind of continues until it's over, right?
Right.
But here they were able to get their feet under themselves and kind of hold. But yeah, so then we move into our attempt on attack, and we start with the ball and chain comp, which is a little bit different here. And then Dallas Fuel used their high ground comp. And, after the Taimu pick, I forgot what happened. It was like he jumped into a shot or something like that.
On Taimu. Yeah, I don't remember him jumping into a shot, but you might be right. He gets picked pretty early, though. Yeah,
it was a super early pick. It just wasn't supposed to happen. And then after that, we continued to pick off people, which is good. We made value out of the opportunity, and we take point. And then they swap to the Brogan with Widow comp, and Unko does this weird thing. So we move around that first bend, and Unko goes up to spawn and starts spawn camping Jake, right? And at first,
in the window there.
Yeah, at first we're like, Unko's wasting time, but it actually kind of works. And the only reason we're able to kind of get through it is because if Jake decides to swap to Doomfist to get past Unko, they pick off Unko anyways. And then Dallas Fuel kind of wipe that fight and then reset back up. But because I'm damn sure they didn't expect the Doomfist pick, because of that, we're able to cap. Because Unko pushed out, OGE and Seagull had to overextend, and then with Doomfist they were able to pick off OGE and Seagull, so that made that second point kind of balance out. So we capped that, and then at the end we were able to land another good Space Dragon, which is good because there were a lot of bad Space Dragons this week, a lot of bad ones. But yeah, this was a good one. We got a 4K off of that. And then as we're getting to that point, because remember, Dallas Fuel didn't full cap, Jake gets a surprise knockoff with Doomfist. He hides in that back room. And then when OGE comes out of spawn, he just knocks him off a map. And there goes that. And we're able to cap it and take the map. So it was an interesting one. Definitely an interesting start to a map. Was there anything on that one that kind of stuck out to you? Overall,
especially just the Doomfist. Well, I'll start with Dallas, I guess, because they were on offense first. We mentioned the shatter. That's a hard thing to do because when he does shatter on Muma, he doesn't. He knows the shield is almost full. Mm-hmm. He has to look over at the supports to get the shatter. He doesn't actually intend to shatter Muma. It's a really good play, especially. It's really hard to shatter another Reinhardt, just because. Especially at that level where the Reinhardt's really good, they can see it coming. Generally, if they have a shatter, you have a shatter. Or if you have a shatter, they have a shatter, so you have to kind of be careful. Yeah. But he just looks over at the supports. He noticed they're a tiny bit outside the shield, can get those. Doesn't actually shatter Muma there, but gets the picks. And then, yeah, like you said, the Doomfist to the streets. It's just something about that guy flying at you that is so scary. Because of how much damage he actually does. Yeah. I don't know what it is because when I play Doomfist, it's nothing like that. It's fly in there, and everyone jumps on me like I'm a guy at the bank or something like that. Or like a robber at the bank. But like it seemed to work out for him, especially like you said at the very end there where he knocks OG off the map, dude. It really set the tone there because when the main tank's gone, dude, easy open up.
It's funny because, Jake actually has two big plays at that same point, right? The first one being the Bastion swap to kind of put that pressure on defense. And then on offense, he's able to... So, Jake being clutch, which is kind of what people expect at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we move into Li Xiang. Wait, do we move into Li Xiang?
Yeah, Hanamura.
Yeah, Hanamura. I don't know why I skipped the notes. And Hanamura is even. This overall match is super weird.
Yeah. Oh no, Lee Jang is a shit show for Dallas. I know this one by
Oh
heart.
yeah. So the Hanamura one is also a weird situation. So we have Arhan coming for Jake. It is Arhan. It's not Aaron. I don't know why I thought it was Aaron.
I kind of like Aaron though.
Yeah, I mean
this guy from
like
Korean name.
Exactly.
Aaron. Yeah.
Arhan comes in for Jake. Cool Matt comes in for Spree, and this is kind of the swaps we're coming to expect now. We start off with Dallas Fuel on attack. They're using the dive variant of the Brogan comp, which is just your 2 tanks or your Winston or Diva. And then Houston is using the high ground comp to defend there. And Dallas Fuel actually, get one over on Houston where they take the Lucio speed boost and just speed boost straight on the point.
Yep.
This is something we see throughout the week as well. More teams are doing to kind of gauge how much that high ground comp is expecting.
Yeah.
And this forces, Houston Outlaws to reposition again. So this is almost similar to what happened on Kings, where we take too long to react, and therefore it puts us behind as far as trying to adjust, and then we get rolled over. So Dallas Fuel cap it immediately, and they have 7 minutes in the time bank, and then they just roll over us again, and they finish with 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So everybody's like, wait a minute. After the match we just saw, right?
Right.
Where they were kind of in the lead on Kings, most of it. It doesn't look good here for this to continue, right? So then we swap over.
Yep. I was just going to say, Dallas almost beats their record because they did the same strat last week. They almost beat their record. They kind of coined this run past. They
really? Okay.
They were kind of the first guys with Brigitte able to set up on the point like that. They don't beat their record last week by like 2 seconds, which is the fastest Hanamura 0.1 and 2 take, which is kind of crazy. Like 6 minutes or something. Yeah. It's insane on that map.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So then we get, our turn on offense. Oh, excuse me. I got a little bit of the burps. But we actually do the same thing to them, and they don't expect it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So we go death ball comp, so you're 303. And they go a Brogan comp, but they actually use a May. And I guess the goal is to try to stall us out because they finished with 630. So now you're just playing off a time bank. And we're able to boost by right before they get that wall up. And I think is it Taimu?
Yeah, Taimu dies immediately.
Yeah, dies immediately again. So it's a case where he gets picked off a lot very early in fights, and that's kind of his downfall at the moment, even though he's playing a lot better. But yeah, so we go in, we're able to fend off that second defense attempt, and then we cap. So we have 6 minutes as well, right? But then this is kind of where we peter out, because after that swap, they swap off a May and stop the BS. They're able to hold us out. Now this is a scene. This isn't the map of the match. I would say just go watch this area, because Linkser has like a 30-second, a 45-second window where it's just a chain of kills, right? Yeah, and it's one of those cases where, like everybody knows, for Hanamura, when you push the second point, you have to kind of dominate that fight to have a chance because the spawn is so close, right? But this is a case where they don't dominate that fight, and they fight kind of, for a couple seconds, and then they get a kill here and here. But Linkser the whole time is just clinking heads. And there's one point, I think in 30 seconds, he gets 8 headshots or something like that.
Yeah, something unreal.
Ridiculous. And that fight takes a total probably like a full minute. And we're able to cap with 2 minutes remaining because of it. But it's impressive. I watched it like 3 times. When Linkser's in it, he's cold-blooded, man.
Yeah,
So we moved to round 2, and so we start on attack because we only have like 2 minutes and change. Remember, Dallas Fuel has 6 minutes and something, like almost 7 minutes. So we do the death ball comp again. They do the same Brogan comp, but this time they use Widow. And Taimu actually, helps to stop us. He picks off, I forget who he picks off. I think he picks off one of the supports to stop the first attempt, and then we're unable to contest this Widow the whole time. He's just getting free shots. So this time, them being ready for it kind of went against us. And then Taimu was able to get free reign, and we've seen that happen before with Spitfire. When Spitfire, if you don't deal with Bird Ring, he's just gonna keep picking people off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like what Linkser was doing on that that balcony.
Exactly.
Just uncontested Widow, man. Just finding heads.
Yeah, and then we move into yo. I give my boys props.
This was so upsetting to watch.
They did a hell of a job here.
So mad during this.
Yeah, I think this made everybody mad. Dallas field goal attack, and they do the 2 and 3 comp. So you have your broken comp, and they use the die variant to help get through the door. And we use the high ground comp, so pretty straightforward stuff. And they can't win an alt economy battle, which is weird because you have 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So how all you do is not use your ults, but there are cases where people are getting caught mid ult, burning their ults, or they're missing their ults. And Jake is Jake on Junkrat here? Yeah, Jake's on Junkrat here, and he's causing problems. There's one point where he pops OGE up during a shatter, and they kill him midair before he can hit the ground. So it burns his ultimate.
So irritating as a Reinhardt player.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just a wasted ult.
Yeah,
and you die right off. Yeah.
It hasn't happened to me in a while.
Dude, it's aggravating.
But within I think the last 2 minutes, you have Dallas Fuel. So this goes on for 4.5 minutes where they're just mismanaging ults. They're getting picked off. They're putting themselves in a bad situation to have so much time. And then they swap to double snipe. And, we do a great job of adjusting this whole time because, we start on that initial ledge that people are used to. We move into the building, move up to that bridge up top. We move back on the point. So we're setting up pretty well, but 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So with Snipe Comp, they do what they should have always done, which is get their ults ready, and they line up a nice Space Dragon to finally close it out. But I honestly thought we were going to hold here. And if we held here, that would have just been it.
Yeah.
You don't play the next map. Everybody just goes home.
Right. I think this is the biggest problem that Dallas Fuel has is once they start getting under pressure, when they have 5 minutes in the bank, but by minute 3 and 2, they start looking even worse. They get sloppier, and people are getting picked even more out of position. It seems like just even more uncoordinated when they're even more under pressure. Yeah,
it was weird to watch. But yeah, they end up getting that one, so we're now tied 1-1. So now the map of the match, which is Lijiang. I'll let you have input on this one. But the one thing that stood out to me was I think if our alt management was like this all the time, we would be unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything just lined up here, even in the round we lost. So we have Spree come back in for Cool Matt, and we have Jake come in for Arhan. So Jake wasn't on that map. It was Arhan that was playing Junkrat on that last one. Yeah. So he used to Jake Rat, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was kind of weird because we saw him on defense as Junkrat, and you're like, wait, so Jake just came out? Yeah, but this guy's playing Junkrat? But yeah. And
then we get AKM come in for Taimu, because when Taimu starts messing up like that, you just got to get him out. Because he's an emotional player, we all know that. And AKM, has been doing a lot better on his hit scan characters.
Yeah, I think it shows, though, and we'll get into this as far as there's no captain, it looks like, on this map for Dallas. But we'll get into that.
Okay, so we start with Night Market, and both teams kind of use the 2-2-2 comps. Pretty straightforward, and then we have initial cap by Dallas Fuel because Siegel gets 2 picks. So Siegel's been playing really well lately.
He looks like the best player on the team. Besides Mickey on Forget, but Siegel, their best all-around player, I think.
I think that's your 2 core guys right there. If you had to switch anybody else off, I think those 2 guys are the sticking points for that franchise. So we're only able to flip it at around 85%. Jake's rocket barrages, which get talked about constantly, are pretty much at AK and Blade levels. I know he tries to use them more as a support or more of a zoning technique, but even in that sense, they don't work very well. So it's not really a good defense. What do you think about his rocket barrages?
Yeah, he seems like he's trying to either, like you said, support or back people off or putting them in a different spot, or he tries to bring them out when he wants to bring a fight back in his favor. And I don't always hate those because generally when someone gets picked off, I don't hate someone using an ult to try to get it back in their favor, even up a 5v5 or a 5v6.
Yeah.
But man, his barrages are either really far away or they're really close and he dies immediately. At one point, he's over the archway, getting into the second point, and he's barraging, and it doesn't look like anybody on the Dallas Fuel's around.
Yeah.
So you're just like, what is he? What is he doing at? But yeah, no, they're a little inconsistent, and that just comes from lack of playing fair, I think.
Exactly. But then they Dallas will get a kind of a turnaround here, because even with Jake's barrages, we're still getting the kills. We're still performing, and he's still doing fine outside of the barrages on Pharah. So AKM though is killing it on this map. He just came in, but he's getting some critical picks on Widow that puts us in a bad position for most of the fights. And then they're able to flip it around, I think 88%, and they end up taking it on their end because they held it for so long to start off with. Was there anything on that round that kind of stood out?
Besides just AKM, he looked really good there. I don't even think they needed a lot of coordination.
Yeah.
Like I said, going into the next two maps where they do need people to shot call, he was able to just mechanically outskill people on this one, and his Widow was just better than Lynxer's on this, and it definitely showed because he's getting 1 or 2 picks every single fight, and that just put him ahead value-wise. But it shows later on where that wasn't even enough, especially this next map.
Yes. So this one we kind of get in the same comps that they both play the same comp. What is it, like Pharah, Widow?
Both on Pharah, both on Widow.
Yeah, you have your Diva, your Winston, because of the verticality you need, and then you have your Zenyatta and your Mercy. So they both play that same comp. Initially, Dallas Fuel were able to get it after winning that. It was a clean fight. They pretty much rolled over us. They cap it, but then on the second fight, OGE just jumps off.
Yeah,
he misses a leap, and they do a replay of it. And obviously, him being as good as he is, without OG, he kind of flips the fight in our favor. So we take advantage of that, and we're able to flip it about 28%. So we don't let them get as much percent as they did before to put us in a good spot. And then on the follow-up fight, we actually are losing that fight to begin with, and Raucus has a pretty baller trans right in between everybody spawning, and we're able to get back to the point and win that fight. So now we're holding it. And Dallas Fuel are forced to burn their ult advantage, but are still unable to take it back from us. And that kind of allows us to finish that one out.
Yeah.
What did you see on Gardens?
Weird. You brought up they got 2 picks, 2 really quick picks, and it seemed like half the team on Dallas went to the point immediately because they knew that all of Houston was bunched up in that house right there.
Yeah.
And so half of Dallas went and followed into the house. The other half went to the point. Just no one telling anybody where to go. Because this is easily hop on the point, defend from there. But instead, Dallas splits their team up. And like you said, Raucus's trans was able to come in and finish off that fight. They just lose in that house. They lose 2 or 3 people in the house. And this is a fight that you easily win 4v6. If you just are well coordinated and you stay as a ball as a team, and they just don't. Siegel immediately goes to the point, so you lose because he's not going to fight in that house. He's a Pharah, he can't go in there. So he's like, well, let's get on the point. This is where I can fight. The rest of the team just dies in the house. It's so aggravating to watch when things like this happen because this is stuff that happens on ladder.
Yeah, it's not supposed to happen.
No one is shot calling. People are just doing whatever they want, and that's exactly what happened.
Speaking of stuff that happens on ladder, wait till we get to the next one.
Ooh, perfect.
The next map. But so we move into Command Center. So we got our round 3, so we're now 1-1 on the rounds. And same thing with Command Center. Command Center is like Gardens, where your comp is pretty much set in stone. It's your you got to have the Pharah, you got to have the McCree, because you got to respect their Pharah, right? But here, Lynxer kind of goes off. We cap initially for the first time after Lynxer he gets a sick 3K chain there. And not until after that, the follow-up fight, Dallas Fuel are able to flip it back at 20% on our end, and then we do the same thing, right? So it's kind of a back and forth for a bit. And then we make a smart call, which I was like, great, was after we flipped it back the second time at about 35% on Dallas Fuel's side, we immediately rushed that door. Because the thing about Command Center is, there's only 2 ways to get to the point unless you want to go downstairs. And downstairs is never optimal, right? So, keeping people in that initial library is actually a good strategy for burning time. And we do that, and we actually win the fights that we have when we're holding them there. So they're never really able to get enough percentage to make it a spawn game or an alt economy focus because of that move. So it was a very smart call, and we're able to kind of close out that whole map, putting us at the coveted 2-1 to wrap it up.
Yep.
Hopefully with the next one. Was there anything on Command Center that kind of stood out to you? I feel like it was
besides
pretty dominant.
Linkser really performing on the McCree, and we had seen him on especially these control point maps switch to the McCree because we get a lot of fair action. He, underperformed or just not getting the support he needed, but he played, really close to the team the entire map, and it showed because he really wasn't dealt with, and it's hard to deal with a McCree that's really tucked into his team like that. And he got that 3K and then just consistent damage throughout the other time and just consistent picks. Man, it was good. Good to watch.
And that falls into, what you and I have always said is that when Linkser decides he wants to play McCree versus being forced to play McCree, it's a different performance.
Yeah. Because he started on McCree, and generally, like you said, we see him come in halfway throughout the map, and it's hard to get rolling on McCree halfway throughout the map. You want to come into it like fresh, go at the beginning.
Some would say guns a-blazing.
Not everyone. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, we're in the South.
No one guns ablaze on this next map, though, right?
No, they do not.
Dallas definitely doesn't.
Man, you want to talk about, if you want to know the concept of momentum, this is a good example. This is a great example.
It's embarrassing for everyone.
Embarrassing. So we start off with Dallas Fuel on attack here. They use the double snipe comp, obviously made infamous by NYXL. Houston uses a 2-2-2 defense here, so not your standard high ground comp, which is what I expected. And we actually get rolled for it because we try something a little different, which is something I wish we'd stop doing this late in the games. But it's whatever. Far gone conclusion. Dallas Fuel rolls us in the first fight, and then the casters notice that the payload's not moving for like a while.
I think it's in park.
Yeah, it's like 15 seconds or something like that, where they're all running around trying to set up for the next fight, but nobody's actually moving the payload. So we end up getting an actual second attempt at that .1 defense, and we hold it. We're able to stall out on the second defense after Arhan gets a sick 4-kill chain. He gets a 4K kill chain, and then Linkser gets in the mode as well, and then him and Arhan are just impossible to deal with once we get that second wind. And they fail that final attempt. So it's very weird in this situation where you kind of need to tie it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is after that first wipe. After Houston is on their way back and they wipe Dallas for the first time. I feel like Dallas probably slumped down in their chairs and like, man, we fucked up.
Yeah,
we could have. I mean, they might not have been able to finish before Dallas or Houston was able to get back, but they would have got pretty far. But man, it just feels so embarrassing and such a letdown, and like the momentum just is the wind's taken from your sails. You just can't do anything.
Yeah. And then on our attack we go double snipe, which is very smart. Dallas Fuel go ball and chain, but we're able to just get the picks we need. Both the snipers kind of go off, and then we just move it forward. I mean, it wasn't that far up in the first place, partly because they didn't move the cart. So we close it out and we get that win we need. But even this was our easiest one, and I think from this point forward, it's going to be rough because later this week we do drop the game against Valiant, which means that we have to win our next two, which is against Fusion and NMXL, to have a chance of even getting the playoffs.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be difficult. This is where you find out if we belong there or not, right?
Yeah.
And another thing I forgot to mention, because I even said it wrong this whole time, so it's not OGE, it's OG.
Oh.
Yeah.
OG's good.
I guess OG makes sense, but it's confusing because it's 3 letters.
It is 3, yeah. Yeah, I guess EQO is pretty weird too, though, right? Like,
yeah, but he said that's the difference, right? It's like the opposite, because he didn't want people calling him Echo. So
fair enough.
I don't know, but yeah, so it's OG. We'll probably keep saying it wrong.
Yeah, I will.
Because it's been too long.
Yep,
we've been conditioned.
Yep.
Was there anything else about like the performance here that you wanted to talk about, or?
No, I just wrote "Who cares" on the attack.
That's so rude.
I just said I don't even want to watch this anymore, because if you can't get it past this point, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. And sure enough, they pushed it right in. So unenthused after Li Jiang Tower that I knew that Dallas had lost at this point.
Feel you. Makes sense. Yeah. Which is Thursday. Oh man, I have the wrong games here. Okay, there it goes. So we have our 2 honorable mentions here. We have the Los Angeles Gladiators versus the New York Excelsior, and I hate you. I hate you so much because I look at it, I'm like, okay, they beat them 3-2. But I'm like, if they could do it, we could do it. But then I remember you guys beat us. So then it's like,
yeah, you didn't pay enough.
we didn't.
We've been shoveling over that Gillette money.
we got all them U.S. players.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not fair. But yeah, congrats to you guys, man. That's the way. Because you guys are you in it or are you out of it?
Yeah, I don't know, and I've got some theories on this that I can legitimize in some way or another.
Okay.
About New York and L.A. and their loss to Valiant, last week.
Yeah.
And I think I brought it up last time. I don't think New York is giving away anything.
Yeah.
And doesn't it feel good knowing that you can beat this team going into the playoffs? You're like, oh, we beat them. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
New York is going to wipe their ass with these teams. I'm sorry. There is nothing that looks like the New York team when they play. And I watched these matches, and I watched, obviously, the match we're going to talk about later when they play the Shock. Nothing about these matches look like New York, and Monty brings it up over and over that he's not throwing the game, but they're holding back. They don't want to give away.
Sandbagging.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sandbag he's holding the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean it's very easy to see that SPB is playing a lot more Widow, and SPB is a great Widow. Don't get me wrong, but some of the shenanigans with their tank play being very aggressive and hopping all over the place, and then obviously Spider Pine on Gibraltar last week. Yeah, none of that looked like real Overwatch. That was
Jonak playing way far back, like sniper range.
Yeah, on some of these maps too, and it's we talked about it in the past. Mental exhaustion is huge in this. And what is a better way to relax and have some fun that you've got the spot locked up than have a little bit of fun? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the team's going to come into the Overwatch League playoffs fresh, feeling good, knowing that they gave these teams wins in the regular season. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're going to shit on everyone.
Well,
I'm calling it right now.
I hope they give us that win we need at the end of the week. Because I think we can beat the Fusion.
Hey, you just send a timely donation to New York, and we can make that happen, Ryan.
A part of the proceeds go to certain foundations.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you that win.
But I meant to mention in the last match we talked about, so the map of the match for that one was Lijiang, because that is a shit show. So definitely watch it. But yeah, for this one, so then we have our other honorable mention, which is San Francisco Shock versus Philadelphia Fusion. Fusion win it 2-1. Shock has kind of just been a whatever at this point. They were definitely one of the teams that I I give them a benefit of the doubt because, and he's constantly talked about, they had a lot of players who weren't 18. So they kind of went into it knowing that if they did well this season, cool, but their plan is to prevail next season.
Yeah, this will be a Season 2 team for sure. And over the break, I'm sure they'll only get better and more coordinated because they're looking better for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Fusion take that one, and then we get into our feature map or match for this week, and it's the Los Angeles Valiant versus London Spitfire. So London Spitfire coming off of some issues of their own, kind of getting back to where they used to be, back to the days of glory. Los Angeles Valiant just constantly getting better, and I don't know what their ceiling is anymore. And that's scary because knowing where they came from, because they were a good team before, they had their shenanigans, they had the In-N-Out burger stuff, and then they just kind of excelled from way beyond where they were before that. So talk about Phoenix from the ashes. Is that the metaphor?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Let's get into it. So Fate here, just this whole game we've talked about is Fate. Fate has shown a performance here. He's always been a good tank, but he shows some Reinhardt play here that's just inspirational. But we start off on Blizzard World, the greatest map ever made. And we have Los Angeles starting off on attack with the ball and chain comp. And we have London Spitfire doing the high ground comp. So high ground, normal here, you sit on top of the garage where that ship is. But, Los Angeles Valiant gets some quick picks and just cap the first attempt. No one dies in that fight, which is rare, especially for that specific area, because that first point is really heavily in defense favor. So if you're not even able to get one pick, it's kind of rough. So they continue that momentum. They swap to the Brogan comp, the dive variant. So that means you have your Winston and your Diva as tanks. And, they're not able to... They make it so that the London Spitfire don't ever get a chance to have an even fight. Because they use that momentum after rolling them on point one, having ults. And they use that throughout, get some picks, and they get it completely through point two. So point three is really where they get their first ability to actually fight. And even here, Soon is pretty, Soon's been doing really good on the Widow. Another player, like SBB, a tracer specialist that picks up Widow and starts doing really well with him, right? But yeah, after here, so they cap point two. They continue that momentum off of Soon getting some legit picks here until they force Spitfire to finally swap. And Spitfire swap to the standard Brogan comp, and they're finally able to stall the Valiant at that tower there. Agility's Brogan, we know, is good, right? And he's able to, he switches to Brogan, and he's finally to get some kills to get that cart moving again. And then Fate lands a huge shatter to keep them off of the cart. Is a point to where a lot of teams on that third point, they try to stay grouped and then move as a unit. And what they did was they forced them to go around the back end of that cave there. And then Fate baits out the shield, makes Gesture drop it, and then he gets his shatter. And Valiant finish it with a 142. So pretty much like a standard well-performed attack for what I could see.
Yeah. It's crazy because going through the streets, you had mentioned they switched the Brogan comp. It's so crazy how big of a difference it is, especially when you're playing these two dive tanks, how difficult it is for the Winston to get in there and do anything because every time Gesture would hop in, before he even get close, you would look at his health bar, you'd be at 50%. Just could not get close to these guys without doing any damage because Brogan's just laying out so much damage before they even get there. And then, like you had mentioned at the very end, it was crazy. The shatter is so weird because he actually doesn't drop his shield. He steps onto a step.
Yes, you're right.
That keeps him kind of elevated, which is weird because only really insane Reinhardts can notice these kind of things, and you'll see it a lot of times when a Reinhardt accidentally. A lot of people in Overwatch jump up and down a lot.
Yes.
In all games, you know what I mean? You did it in WoW, you did it in Counter-Strike. You do it in all these games. It's actually sometimes really bad because Rhines can shatter underneath it, and some Rhines will look for that jump or the Reinhardt to actually jump on the cart, or in this situation, jump on the stair, and it's just like a sliver, and he notices. It's crazy play.
Yeah.
Just to be able to notice, maybe it's luck, maybe he saw it. Still very cool. He shatters the whole damn team.
Yeah, Fate's in the zone here. I mean, luck is one of those things where it's like his consistency throughout this whole match.
He's playing insane out of his mind.
You would think he was, because he's not a Reinhardt main, right?
Yeah. These are both generally just Winston guys that have played Reinhardt in the past a little bit, but obviously we had a year of dive. I mean, it's, you got to knock the rust off.
Yeah. So we get into point. We get into the attempt from Spitfire side. So Spitfire's on attack, and they decide to go with the Death Ball. So you're 3-0-3, and then we have Valiant on the high ground comp for defense with Brogan in this instead of your Widow, I believe. No.
Yep.
Yes. And, obviously with the Death Ball comp, your goal is to Lucio Ball, speed rush it. And they try to rush it. They do get 2 ticks, but the Valiant are able to stall it long enough for Agilities to swap after he dies to Pharah. And because they're in Death Ball, there's nothing they can do about it. Because he comes back and gets 6 kills immediately.
It's insane.
Yeah. Agilities has just been at a level that if he keeps this up, he'll be in talks next year, definitely. Or if it's throughout the playoff, we don't know how it's going to look in the playoffs, right? Like he might go Super Saiyan, even though it's weird because when he got better, he stopped dyeing his hair, so it's not blonde, super blonde anymore, which means it's not. So he's going Super Saiyan, but then his hair's, whatever. Anyways, it's nuance. But yeah, so they're able to roll the next fight, Spitfire, but then they burn enough time off the clock for that, right? So we move into point 2. We do have Valiant swap to a Brogan comp, but they actually use Ana instead here. And Fate has another huge shatter, which stalls them at the Pylon Terrace, which is that little burger joint. right there. But after that, you think, okay, well, he just used Shatter. Next fight, use Shatter again. So, like, Fate is not only having solid shatters, he's constantly has Shatter, which is, like, that's your most ideal for your Reinhardt. And it's one of those cases where, even Gesture misses a Shatter, but his team's able to kind of push through it and still get them past that stall point. So it's one of those cases where I feel like Gesture knew he was losing that battle from the get-go, and it kind of played into the performance here.
Yeah, it's so crazy because both of us play ladder a lot, and you play some Rein, I play some Rein. It's very noticeable when one of the Reinhardts is more dominant because it shows so much in the play. It just opens the team up, and like you had mentioned, Fate just doing all kinds of work on the Reinhardt.
Yeah. Yeah, so we get into point 3, and you can't forget Space is still on the team. So he's able to eat a significant grab because they try to stop that momentum. He eats I forgot who's their Zarya. Prophet, I believe, is their Zarya at this point. Yeah, he eats Prophet's grab, and then they have a second one. Luckily enough, he's able to get one up, and they're able to keep Valiant off the cart because they almost do the same thing that they did when Fate shattered on offense. But this time they just use grab to keep him in that corner, and then they just move the card up, right? So they get the full cap, but they get an overtime, which means they don't get a second attempt in round 2. So we move into round 2, and we have London Spitfire on defense here with the high ground comp, and we have Valiant doing a ball and chain comp. And Prophet comes up big here. He has a 2K junk tire for the first attempt, and there's not really much time. I think they had like a minute 30 or something like that. And then he creates more problems as they try to make that second attempt, and they're just unable to cap. So we actually get a draw for the first map.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I mean, we've seen this out of Blizzard World too, because that first point is it's like new money, and I brought this up. It's so hard, if you lose a guy to get back in there.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody that is a fan of Blizzard World.
No, like I said, it looks nice.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
Yeah. Yeah, just not the most fun to play either.
Mm-hmm. So we move into our next map, which is Horizon Lunar Colony, and this one's a weird one. Mainly, I mean, we get to see Birdering back at his, ever since that injury he had, where he was out for a bit, he's been kind of iffy and on and off. We see glimpses of what he used to be, and here it really shows again. This is another one of those glimpses. So we get Valiant on the single heal dive comp, which we've seen from time to time. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is the catalyst? Like, what makes you decide to do that single heal version of it?
I guess if you just know that you can get an early pick, because if you start getting picked off when you're playing a single healer comp, you almost can never come back from that, because there are always chances in Overwatch to win a 5v6 when you have two healers on the team to back you up a little bit. It is much more difficult to come back after losing somebody in a single heal comp. Generally, you just know that you are going to get a pick. And that's what you're aiming for. You're putting a lot of damage, or you're either putting a big health pool with like Roadhog in there. So. Okay,
that makes sense. So they go the single heal dive comp here, and then Spitfire do the high ground comp on top, and Birdering just has consistent picks here to prevent any fight from starting. They never really get an attempt, and the one attempt they do get, they get about 2 ticks, and then Soon's able to like do a little bit here and there. He's able to pressure Nuss. So there's one fight before their final attempt where he pressures Nuss enough in the back line to get him to pop his Valkyrie before the next fight. And even then, they're unable to win the next fight just because the Birdring is performing so well. So it's just a quick defense. They burn all their time. We get Valiant get 2 ticks, and then we move into Spitfire's attempt. So Spitfire here, they use the 3-0-3 death ball. Which is usually common when you're able to hold a team, because you just need to get on the point, right, and get the time started. And then if you can get a pick here or there, then it's good. And then Valiant use the high ground comp, which I think on defense I don't really see much variant on that.
It looked almost identical what they were doing.
Was there ever a case on Lunar Colony where people were using like a Bastion comp or risk? Like, was there anything different, or has it always been the high ground comp for defense?
I think originally when we first got Horizon Lunar Colony, we didn't see the high ground comp. Okay. Just like on Kings Row, we didn't see the high ground comp coming from Orisa and stuff like that. I think a lot of people figured out that was just the most ideal. You just get so much view of the map and them coming up on you.
Yeah.
The beauty, though, LA makes a quick swap, though. I think this is what LA needed in the first one. But yeah, I'll let you get into that.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, here you have the Agility's Junkrat pretty much kind of keeps them in it. He ends that first attempt and kind of makes it difficult. And the only thing here is the positioning. So what happens is London Spitfire are able to get Valiant in a position where they swap places, where Spitfire is on the point and Valiant is on those stairs trying to get in. And then they just grab the stairs, pulls all of Valiant out, and they just cap it, right? Because they only need 2 ticks. So it was more of a case of just playing position properly than actually winning the fights, because Valiant were winning those fights out because they were getting the picks they needed. It was just that, they only needed so much.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think, isn't all of LA alive when they lose the point? Mm-hmm. Yeah, did you say that?
Yeah, because they won the fight. It was just that they essentially swapped places with Spitfire, where instead of it was like Spitfire was trying to defend the point and they were trying to get in.
I don't think I've ever seen that. That's what's so crazy. Yeah, pretty cool.
It's Korean mind tricks.
Yeah. It's illusions, Michael.
Illusions.
Yeah.
And we move into our control map here. I don't think this one goes to 5. It doesn't. But yeah, so Li Jiang was interesting because everybody knows that Agility is kind of playing the best Overwatch he's played at this point, and he's known for his Pharah. So we start off with Gardens, and we have both teams on Pharmacy. Agility starts off with a 2K, and then that's how Valiant are able to get that first initial cap. And then from that point on, they just dominate. They dominate the next few fights they have, and it's mainly because they're ignoring Agilities. They're trying to just ignore him, and you can't. You have to deal with him, and especially when if you're playing Pharmacy and you can't compete, you have to find another solution. There's other options out there. But yeah, there is a point where Spitfire is able to flip it at about 99%, and it's because Agilities fails to kill with a barrage, but they drag that fight out. He swaps the Doomfist, gets back to point, and then gets a 2K and then dies, right?
Yeah.
So he's still able to give that value because on Gardens, you have that gap that if you are on Doomfist, you just hop. It's literally the shortest run, probably in any control map, to get back to the point. So smart on him for, they didn't force him to switch. He just knew that we only need to flip it back now, so he switched. And just another caveat for should more Doomfist be played. And I think we'll see a lot of Doomfist in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just figuring out where he goes and where he belongs, right? It's just, that's weird wording.
I bet. What are you trying to say, Clay?
Shit. But yeah, just figuring out the proper areas of the map he's allowed in.
Oh, that's too good, man. But it's one of those things where I think, now that I think about it, that might be what New York XL is holding back. Is like they're probably
the Doom.
It's Liberos just in the lab hours.
Or Pine. Remember a couple weeks back we saw Pine on Hanamura get like a 3K.
Yeah,
he wasn't even trying, man.
You're right. I don't know. Secrets.
The Doom bag. The Doom bag. That's the Doomfist sandbag.
The Doom bag.
Yeah. I'm going to coin this now, knowing that going into the playoffs.
Exactly. Doom bag. Start hashtagging it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it trending on Twitter. I have literal tears in my eyes right now. Okay. So we move into round 2 on Command Center. And was there anything on Gardens that stood out to you as far as?
No, besides the fact that, they either left Agilities alone because we had Bird Ring on the Widow for quite some time, or he was so elusive to the Bird Ring Widow that it was really impressive, because sometimes when you have to play this far back or you have to play around these things, you're just not high impact. Yeah. It's not like Junkrat where you can constantly spam around corners and kind of still be in the fight. Pharah, you kind of need no one around you and no one touching you, and especially a Widowmaker. It's scary playing against a good Widowmaker like Birdring. But he was playing around that top pillar and still doing a lot of damage, man. It was cool.
Yeah. So we have so we move to Command Center, and so Los Angeles Valiant take that first one. Move into Command Center, and Spitfire here play the Deathball comp, and Valiant opt for the Brogan with the Pharah because Agility's doing so well. Why take him off of it? Which I totally approve of here. And Pharah is good on Command Center. That's just a thing. London Spitfire get that initial cap. They win that first fight. But then they follow up, and Agilities has a 4K, and they're able to flip it at about 78%. After those first couple fights, and London Spitfire do not adjust to deal with Agilities again. So it's almost like they don't. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird when those things happen, because it's almost like everyone is. I know it's an intense game. I know you're on the stage. I know you're in the moment. I know they don't have access to coaches when they're playing. But it's one of those cases where out of all 6 of you guys, nobody's like, "Hey, Agilities is doing that thing again, where he's killing us all."
Right. Yeah, it's just they looked like they tried to outmuscle the damage of a Pharah, and it was just too much. Because London takes an early point, but LA just is able to just outdamage them.
Yeah.
Because they get on the point really early, and that's generally what you want to do against a Pharah comp. If you can get on the point really early, it's so much harder for the Pharah to take the point than to hold the point.
Yeah.
So they had a good concept going into it that if they beat him to the point, that maybe LA and the Pharah comp will not be able to do it. But the damage was just too much for them.
Yeah, they're playing well. Like, it's not a case where they can. If you didn't respect that, it's almost a respect thing, right? It's like in fighting games where you got to respect your opponent, because you don't know if he's going to throw normal out or whatever, and you might not be expecting it. But if you play with the proper respect, then you can adjust as you would need to be successful. But yeah, here they're just not. I mean, they just beat you in the first round, so I would think they would not think that they could just muscle through. It's like, hey,
this is a perfect time. Yeah. Perfect time to make adjustments, and they just didn't do it.
Especially to gain the momentum back. But yeah, they don't do it. Valiant continued to win fights throughout. And about 80%. Fate has a huge shatter. He has a bunch of huge. I want to say he has like eight in this match. He has another huge one to kind of shut this one out. So any hopes of Spitfire having to come back on that control map is over, and that puts them at, was it 2-1?
Yeah, 2-1. No.
So 1-1
we had
because we had a draw. Yeah.
Yep.
Because we have to move into Dorado. And this map is a nightmare. I don't even know where to start. I mean, obviously at the beginning. But yeah, let's just
start
get
at the end and then work our way. Benjamin Button right there.
Exactly. Yeah, this one was a weird map. So we'll start off Dorado point 1. We have Valiant starting off on attack on double snipe. We have Spitfire starting off on high ground comp. So that's pretty standard there. And, it's kind of grindy at first. Valiant kind of grinded out until Agilities has a nice dragon that kind of cleans up the remaining players of that fight. Kills 2 people, flips it in their favor, and they keep on moving. There is a point where Prophet gets a tire off before he dies and then gets a 3K, but it's as they cap.
This was rough, man.
Yeah, so it's like bittersweet.
Yeah, a little late to the party. Yeah, because it was like, holy shit, this dude just killed 3 people as the things
as the gates are opening. Yeah. So on point 2, Valiant stays with the same comp, and then Spitfire switched to the dive variant of the Widow Brogan comp. So they keep the Widow and the Diva, which you want here because of the verticality in these places, and they're able to stall Valiant out at about the bridge area, which is pretty common. If you roll through that first area, the bridge is usually your next kind of checkpoint. And it's another grindy fight, right? It's not until Custa gets a 2K while in Valk. So Custa, you know where those stairs are, right? Well, there's stairs everywhere, but that main corridor leading to point 3 that has the bundle of stairs and the health pack. Yeah, so Custa flies over because he actually has no one to heal since that fight kind of left both teams with a lot of people dead, or the majority of the team dead, he just flies over the stairs and gets a 2K there, and then comes back and reses somebody, and they cap that. And then point 3 is pretty much they don't stop moving the cart, so they end up finishing point 3 fully with about 112 left. So not bad at all. And then we go to the Spitfire attack. So they do double snipe, but they use the single hill comp again, which we saw before, because they think they can get that pick. And then Valiant used the high ground comp here, and Spitfire can't get it through. Soon's doing really well here on the Widow. His positioning's really good. Like, they have a hard time finding him. So he's able to get those picks that he needs. And Space is still in this game. So the thing about this game is that ever since Space has been on the team, he's been playing at a high level. He's been playing really well. He's been playing his role that he took over, right? But it's just that Fate's been playing so well, it kind of overshadows him here. But Space is still coming up with the big plays he needs here, because he has a 2K bomb that helps clean up a fight that follows the fight after Soon gets a 2K, right? And if you think about it, if you have 3 people that get 2Ks in 3 different fights, that's the majority of your time. You literally have one final attempt left, right?
Yep.
So I mean, and then they finish it up by essentially saving a rip tire, using the rip tire to make everybody scatter off the point, because if you stay on the point, the rip tire is going to kill everybody anyways, and then they close it out because they have a full hold there. So yeah, I don't know. This one was kind of, it was
especially going to this one,
know.
Because London did pick up a few picks going into point 1. It's just like you said, they just left Soon either uncontested or he was being extremely elusive. It looked like London was focusing a lot on the front line and the back line, and Soon just kind of ran wild with it. Just had all the time in the world to find the picks he needed.
Yeah, Soon, man, they're all like I think what it is probably just that they're all progressing at the same rate. Like, they're all kind of getting better and rising to the occasion at the same rate. No one on that team is getting left behind anymore, which was the case before. The in and out stuff was that you had people being favored over others. Where here, everybody's playing for their role and they're playing well. Yeah, and they're playing the roles they want to play.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't feel like more of a. I feel like Agilities and Soon and Kareev, they were almost in a tryout period. Not so much Soon, but definitely Agilities and Kareev, they were kind of being tested, and that never feels good. They go in feeling confident that you got the role, that you want to play, you're here to DPS and do well on this team, and they look way more confident than they did, even when they were doing really well at in the early stages.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that wraps us up. I mean, we had a 2-1 finish from Los Angeles Valiant. That Blizzard World map is probably my map of the match. Definitely one to watch. Fate's really impressive there. I'm definitely going to go buy the skin now. He earned it.
It's really good. Because the Legion Tower, ignorance on the part of London, not really fun to watch, just because it looks like they couldn't figure out how to battle against the Agility Sphera. So, no, you're right. I think that Blizzard World was probably just the best back and forth match.
Yeah,
man. And we get to watch Boston beat up on Shanghai 4-0. And then we get to watch Dallas beat up on Florida 4-0. So, not a lot of competition there in the first two games.
It's not a good Friday.
Yeah.
I wonder what the viewership was like.
I never get to watch these on Friday either. I have to always watch Fridays on Saturday, so I never get to know what happened. But I looked the next morning. I was like, holy shit! At least we picked a decent match for this one. So
I think we pretty much. We know what we need to look back at all our kind of records as far as our feature matches and see how good we are at picking matches.
Yeah, it was a lot harder, I think, in the beginning, right? Because we just didn't know where people placed up, and there was like a consistency issue. Some teams were really good one week and really bad the next week, and then some teams just got a lot better. But I think we've gotten a lot better at it.
Okay. Progress.
I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. But so we picked Philly versus Seoul Dynasty, and we hop right into Kings Row, where we see Philly get on the attack and. Philly gets a good picture on how hard, and we saw earlier in this week how hard it was sometimes to take point 1. And they see this. They decide to invest a ton of ults into it to ensure that they get it, and they do get it. We get I think EQO starts us off on the Hanzo, but makes an early switch to the Pharah once he notices there was no one to contest him.
Yeah.
And then him and Carpe just kind of in sync throughout not only point 2 but point 3. They're just farming alts one after another. EQO has probably 5 barrages between point 2 and point 3 that they're pretty heavy impact too.
It's reminiscent of agilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, kind of eat my own words. I thought Shadowburn was the more consistent Pharah. EQO definitely stepping up and showing not only me but the league for sure that he's a decent Pharah as well as he is a Genji. Tracer later on, little shaky, but we'll get into it. Soul never makes a switch. They kind of like London, not sure how to deal with the Pharah. Besides maybe a late switch to McCree or Widow, they don't even do that. They just keep eating these big grabs and these keep barrages, and they are able to get through all 3 points. We get Soul next on attack. Obviously, they're the only 2 teams. They jam 3.1 pretty quick. They're running this heavy tank comp that we have kind of got. The death ball comp that we've kind of seen a lot more of. They get point 1 real quick, but they are met with a pretty pissed off looking Philly team because Philly is like, you know what, screw it, we're going to hold you right here. Doesn't work exactly. They do hold them and are able to spawn camp them for a little while, and a lot of that has to do with just Carpe being really high charge for a long time.
Yeah, the performance here from Carpe and EQO, like you mentioned, is just above and beyond, and it's allowing them to make a lot of these plays because they're not really sensible. Because they talk about how we haven't seen that aggressive, holding the arch so far up since back in like the beta days, right?
Yeah,
like the early days.
For some reason, I don't have what happens to on Philly's attack. I know they don't have much time in the time bank, and they're just not able to get any ticks on point 2. Do you have anything written down right here?
Oh, for Philadelphia's attack? So you're talking about round 2?
Yeah.
So in round 2, what we have is we have Dynasty doing just a 2-2-2 comp with Roadhog. We have Philadelphia on the high ground, and Philadelphia is able to do a full hold, or able to hold Dynasty to 1 tick.
1 tick, right?
Yeah. Okay, but then what happens is, when it flips, Dynasty go full ham. And they both which is a good call on their part. They both use the death ball comp, and Fusion lose that fight. That initial fight. Right. And EQO tries to swap to Far again, but what they do is they rush the door so that he can't actually get out, and then they grab the door and they can't.
Oh yeah.
They can't contest.
And I think who's the Winston for Philly on this point? Sato. He tries to make a jump towards it, just not enough time. I combine these 2.
Very smart compared to how stubborn Soul is this whole match. For them to do this at this point shows that. It
looks like a little bit out of their wheelhouse too, and it looked good. I don't think Philly expected it, and we didn't expect it.
I didn't expect it.
Philly, it was crazy because they didn't. I mean, they had easy 25-30 seconds left, enough time, especially on Kings Road, to get back to point 1. But with 1 tick, you can't really play around, and they kind of put the nail in the coffin there by just hopping up there, using their grav progressively for sure.
They definitely stole that one from Philadelphia because I have here that Carpe and EQO had over 40 limbs.
Oh yeah, they kill it on this. There's a bunch of kills. Yeah, this was one that Philly was definitely poised to win, and Soul just getting that 1 tick, man. And I think it was pretty uncontested getting that 1 tick because a lot of teams will give up 1 tick now. That 1 tick that cost them the round. So we get into Hanamura, where we see Fusion.
One of your favorite maps, right?
Yeah, dude.
Your top 3 are Blizzard World,
it's
Hanamura,
crazy because
and Anubis.
Yeah. Blizzard World at the very top. It's because at the beginning of Overwatch, this was actually one of my favorite maps because I only played Junkrat, and on defense, you're just like, dude, no one can get through this. I'm playing Junkrat.
I own this door.
Yeah, I think I remember leaving quick play matches when I was on offense.
That's
It's like, nah, I'm not doing this. I want to play defense.
You are
map.
disgusting.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of those folks. Just want to practice my defense more. No
Hey,
point.
then you
But
made
yeah.
it to top 500 and everything changed.
Yeah, not allowed to play Junkrat anymore. But yeah, so we get Fusion starting us off on the attack, and they struggle for a little bit against Fleta and the Junkrat. Obviously, things never change. Junkrat's still really good on Hanamura, Point Wayne. That gateway, man, is hard to get to, and especially when Philly is still running straight to the point, and that's something Soul doesn't do.
Do you think they ever modify that gate?
I don't think so. It's just it seems like it's so
Iconic.
so embedded to be bad that they're like, no, how about this window? It's like, that window is worse than the gate. I'm not going through that stupid window.
So high up.
I would I don't know, maybe a door on the other side of the window, like the opposite side of the window, going up to the upstairs
ledge?
things. Yeah, you know where the little bridge is on the inside?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a door into that, but I guess you're supposed to go through the gateway and then go through that door. It's really difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just struggle against Fleta and the spam. They eventually do get point one with about 4 minutes left. Mm-hmm. And they switch to what looks like almost a dive comp because we get EQO switching over to Tracer at one point, and he does get a big pulse bomb, but he is hunted down by Munchkin playing Brogan so many times that you start to wonder, like, dude, you can't run this back. You just got to change. You got to switch to something else. But his wheelhouse is really only, from what we know, is Pharah, Genji, and then Junkrat. And I guess just pushing into that point, he thought that maybe Tracer was the answer. Obviously not, because they kind of just fumble even after using a ton of ults to really get nothing done with 4 minutes.
Yeah, they struggle. It's very hard to watch because you see they're trying a lot of different things.
Yeah, changing
and they're getting the picks, but they just can't follow up with, like, they can't re-coordinate after they get the picks because they're all scattered.
Yeah, all over the point for sure.
Yeah, so
yeah, that brings us to the Soul attack, where Soul just avoid the middle completely, which is kind of crazy.
This is great. Yeah.
That no one has ever figured this out, because it shuts down Junkrat in such a big way, because Junkrat needs this tight space or needs to be extremely close. So they want teams to either get stuck at the gate or come to the point immediately where he can just spam you from that outside area. And they don't do that. They go all the way around. They hunt down Carpe immediately. The Diva hops on him completely. He tries to jump down. He dies immediately. And they just avoid the Junkrat spam, get point one almost immediately. And
7 minutes.
Yeah. This is an insane amount of time. We don't see, even Dallas, they don't get this amount of time going into point two. And really, you can't mess up from here, and it doesn't even matter because they rush point two, Philly is set up on the top, and they never come back down. It's like, they're like, you know what, let's get this map over with, we'll go to the next one.
Yeah. That first point, though, the part that confused me was the high ground comp, but they substitute the Orisa for Winston. And I'm like, well, that just defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, right.
Like, you literally just play something else.
Yeah, you need this big shield and this big tank and a lot of HP to stand behind.
Yeah.
I guess the thought process is maybe they can contest someone that's high ground other than themselves. Doesn't make any sense.
Like, if they happen to go dive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I've seen dives against that that kind of that Stonewall high ground comp, and it's not great. So just stick to this, stick to the kind of the same thing, and they just kind of ran around him.
Because Winston just melted, so it was like that death ball came through, and I knew they were like, "Well, fuck," because especially because the thing about Dynasty is they use Zenyatta in their death ball still, so that's even more against what they were trying to do. So I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen a team get rolled over like that in a while.
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, Philly taking the first two maps, or no, I'm sorry, Soul taking the first two maps off of Philly pretty handily too. Well, I guess the Kings Row wasn't handily. That was a close one.
Oh, yeah, Philly's working for these losses. Like that's even worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Hanamura, kind of a different story. This was kind of a rough one. But that brings us into Oasis, our control point map, where Boombox, one of the guys that I just kind of expected going into this, because I used to watch him in Contenders, and he would be at the top of the kill feed all the time. He was like your Jonak very early on. He was the force to be reckoned with in the support line, because he would get so many picks, and it's starting to come back to him. And the commentators,
in Worlds, the team was built around him. The UK team was built around him. So
yeah, and the commentators mentioned that he had some confidence issues coming into this, and it looks like he's kind of shaking that, because he playing a little bit more aggressive and playing for picks more than anything else. They are able to get the first point off of his first 2 picks, hold it to 80, and Seoul looks like they have everything in control after a take after 80%, and they not only miss a shatter. Shatter is no big deal. You're going to miss those every once in a while. You're going to land one into the Reinhardt shield. But they never hit a grab. They hold this grab the entire game and then never do anything with it. And after these 2 botched ultimates, it looked like Philly was able to just kind of run over them at this point, because they had the ultimate advantage. Yeah. You see anything on that one?
No, just, like you said, Boombox kind of stepping up to the plate again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Performing as we expect. And, I think I could be wrong. I think he's the only UK player in the league.
Yeah, he probably...
which is
I
surprising.
I think there is a Grim Reality on Los Angeles Valiant who's a UK player, but we have not seen him play.
Yeah, he's coaching now, though.
Oh, is he? Yeah, right. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. He's 100% coaches. That's crazy. He did some early interviews because he's kind of a personality, too. He likes a bunch of, like, American, hip-hop and stuff like that. Yeah, it's crazy. He was an insane DPS player on ladder for a long time. Yeah. And in Contenders. But, yeah, so Philly takes map 1. This is kind of their first run at trying to flip this back in their way.
Which is University, which they're known, they're kind of, it used to be their home field.
Yeah, when we saw Fraggy a lot more, right? Just the aggressive Reinhardt. And then we go to, what's map 2 called?
Gardens,
right. Where we see EQO coming out, playing fair again. And we bring this up all the time, switching to counter the fair this late in the game, where Fleta is switching over to a Widow to try to handle it. It's too late. EQO takes out Gambler 0.1, very beginning, with a direct rocket, and it just seems to be in Philly's hands from that point on. Because not only is Fleta forced to switch over to something else, Carpe is taking advantage of this, because Fleta is obviously on fair patrol. Carpe is kind of just left to do whatever he wants, and he comes alive.
Yep.
So yeah, Philly pretty dominant 2-0 on Oasis.
And it's weird. It's weird because, you can if you're playing Gardens here, he's going to go Pharah. So, why not? I don't understand why I always end up in a late situation. I don't know if the consideration for what they pick is based on what they want to do versus what they have to do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the commentators bring it up a lot. There's 2 strats. You kill the Pharah or you ignore the Pharah, and then sometimes the Pharah is just so impactful that you can't ignore it, and it's just already overwhelming. And that's what it was. He just did a lot of damage, and they couldn't heal through it. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty dominant Oasis performance for Philly, and that leads us to Dorado, where we see Philly start us off on attack.
Get Gambler back in for Toby.
Yeah, Gambler back in.
Which I just think you leave Gambler in. Toby, I know, known for his Lucio, but he hasn't been playing that well. Yeah,
no, you're right. So we get Philly on the attack. They set up with this, or Soul sets up with a heavy tank comp with the 1 Mercy healer, which does keep Philly at bay for about 2 or 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, until they finally get the pick on the Mercy. And then, like I had mentioned earlier, once the Mercy falls in this comp, your 1 healer, it all tends to fall right behind it.
Yeah.
And Philly just kind of rolls through 0.1 after that. In the streets, Carpe just never lets Soul regroup. He gets a pick here and there, and they could just never fully regroup, which you need to do in the streets. It seems like an attacker's advantage. I don't know. The spawns are pretty equal, but it does seem like an attacker's advantage. That's probably one of the easier pushes I go through.
Because on defense, you get the advantage of your high ground because you can set up easier, but the high ground is not really in a line of sight of the early movements.
Right. Because you can't really contest the cart from that really top high ground. You are shooting down on them, that's fine, but the cart's still moving a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And what Carpe does is that he doesn't even let them get to that point at all. He's killing people before they even get there. It's crazy because they go into point 3 almost with a totally different comp. EQO switches over to the double sniper, and it seems like a different comp. I guess they keep the same tanks. And Soul looks like they're trying to hunt down the 2 snipers, and the Philly tanks just sit on the point or push out a little bit, get a pick, come back to the point, and it just never stops moving.
Yeah.
It's crazy to watch because you're looking in the top right-hand corner, and you're like, oh, is EQO getting a pick? Is Carpe getting a pick? No, it's all the tank line just getting the picks there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, so we have Dynasty has a chance to come back, get through it all 3 pushes. They, just like Philly, struggle at point 1 for quite some time.
Yeah.
This is a hard point. We see a lot of people get halted on this one, not even getting through it at all. But they do get through point 1. Munchkin makes up for the time loss by kind of doing the same thing Carpe does. Switches over to the Widow, or he's already been on the Widow, and just wreaks havoc on Philly. He does the same thing Carpe does, gets pick after pick, never lets them set up. I said this point 2 in the streets is kind of hard if you're not all there and ready to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that first point is definitely hard, especially that a lot more teams are using the double snipe comp. You have to be more effective there.
Yeah.
Because it's not really a case where you're going to finish each other's kills, right? You have to finish your own kills. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like having a Pharah and a Tracer where a Pharah gets a little bit of the damage and the Tracer finishes it up. You have to finish off, like you had mentioned, have to finish up the kills.
Yeah.
But Philly is able to stop them on point 2. EQO switches over to the Junkrat, and Soul just never switches off the Brogan. And Junkrat is just kind of notorious for breaking that shield up and finishing her off, and they're able to hold it, at point 3.
Yeah.
And
they get stalled out at that bridge.
Yeah, at that bridge. Junkrat's pretty good there, too. I like him there.
Oh, man, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to get upstairs. There's like 2 ways to get up there? No, there's 3 ways, because you can hop up, you can take the back stairs, or you can go around.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Philly forcing a game 5, and I think the commentators even mentioned this. They have never reverse swept anyone. Not a team that does this.
They've been reverse swept a billion times.
Yeah, they're notorious for that, for sure. Definitely notorious for their getting swept on. But yeah, so we get to go to Nepal, where Seoul continuing to try the big tank comp. And we saw London try to do the exact same thing against a Pharah, the Agility's Pharah, EQO's Pharah, pretty much on point 2.
So quick question, do you think that, because we've seen a lot of this week, and last week as well, where a lot of teams are, I don't know if they're practicing this death ball, or is it a case where the effort that has to go into it is so reduced compared to any other comp? Because death ball is pretty much like, hey, we're going to run into something until something dies. Like, there's skill there, you can say that, but it is one of the easier comps to run. So do you think it's just teams kind of either recuperating, or they're feeling kind of lazy, or do you think it really is a legitimate strategy for how much people are using it? I like it, but how much people are using it is, I feel, is being overused.
I don't know. Sometimes it seems really good, and then sometimes these teams make comp switches that completely counter it.
Yeah.
And it's not like in Dive where someone goes Pharah, and in Dive you still have the Diva, you still have the Winston. There's still pressure enough on the Pharah that you can make little switches. This Big Death Bell comp just folds to Pharah, to Junkrat, stuff like that, where they're able to build up these ults really quick. I don't know. It seems like it sometimes can run over teams that aren't expecting it, but it looks like no one's falling for this trick anymore.
Okay.
So, yeah, and like I said, EQO's Pharah, he just punishes them the whole time. He just outsplash damages, gets so much ult charge the entire time. Fleta makes another attempt at Widow. Is hunted down at one point by by Carpe on the McCree, who gets behind the entire team and isn't able to kill EQO or Carpe, and it just fails. I mean, they never switch off the Brogan. It's so bad. I tried Brogan early on in this meta, and not really my play style. But when someone is good at Pharah, and you're looking up at that damn lady in the sky, man,
damn bird,
yeah, just splashing rockets down on you, man. It feels miserable.
It's funny because Brogan is my playstyle. It's just one of those things where I don't get to play her much just because of the roles I have to fill. Where I'm like, there are a lot more cases where I'd rather not have her than have her.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Because like we still need, like, if I want somebody to swap to Pharah, or we need people to swap. Okay, we need a Pharah and a Widow. Well, you don't want the Brogan anymore, but people don't swap off of her.
Right,
and that's the problem.
Right. I mean, I think she is good in situations where the other team is playing a similar comp to you. They're like a heavier tank comp, and the Brogan can win out. But she feels so bad in situations where you're going up against a good Pharah and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So get to map 2 on Nepal. This is the last chance that Soul has to bring this one back. And Munchkin does try. I mean, he tries to keep the dream alive for some time. Just getting pick after pick on that Widow. Thank God Fleta is not on the Widow now, because Fleta is a good Widow, but just underperforming. I don't know if it's nerves or just not been in that position for a while. Yeah, he just not there. But Munchkin does try to keep the dream alive, and they do get it to 99. They give it up and just never get it back. Just a bunch of failed attempts on their part. Some weird positioning, some bad ults. Who is the Mercy for Soul? I'm trying to...
And, it's one of those cases where Fusion's not even playing really well here. It's just that Dynasty's completely dropped the ball on what they want to do. And they lose. I think they lose like 3 fights in a row, and that's pretty much all the time you have. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's some bad ults and just some weird positioning. That's what ruined that last game for them.
Yeah.
So, Philly get it 2-0 on Nepal, and that kind of wraps it up. Just,
crazy.
Yeah, because we saw some close maps in the first one, but I thought this was where Seoul was going to get the win. A lot of teams at the very beginning, a lot of players, a lot of commentators thought Seoul were going to be the ones that make it in the playoffs. That was one of the teams picked. London, Seoul, New York, these were the teams picked. Dallas Fuel actually was in the contention there for a while, but it doesn't look like they're going to make it.
That's crazy. Definitely, I think Kings is that map of the match, though. Just because of the flow of that match, where it kind of goes back and forth, and then it ends with like a surprise note. Like, definitely like an end up to like an episode of something to keep you on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and it had some weird, like really aggressive pushing that was cool to watch.
Yeah.
For week 4, week 4, stage 4. Where we get to see this was probably a match that we should have picked over the New York San Francisco match, but whatever, hindsight's 2020. This is one I will admit that I might have made a mistake on, but it was London versus the Los Angeles Gladiators, a tight one, going to 5. London losing 2-3. Los Angeles Gladiators battling it out, and then we get to see the Houston Outlaws. I wouldn't say battle it out. I would say they were there.
We don't have to talk about that one.
They were there for the match. 4-0.
Damn it.
Los Angeles Valiant. That's insane.
You know what? I was reading something recently where people were talking about what we need to do to improve, and a lot of people are disappointed with our support line. Because, it's one of those cases where like Raucus and Bonnie started out strong.
Yeah.
But they just, like, with the growth of everybody else's supports over this time frame.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, we've been falling behind. And that, if you think about it, our DPS side, our tank side, fine.
I mean, it's so hard to say. Linkser is one of those guys that is on one day and off another.
Yeah.
I think that is his biggest problem. Because some days, dude, he is on fire.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like he can't be stopped. And then Jake, has his moments too. But Raucus is definitely not a Joe Knack. He's not a boombox.
Yeah.
He's definitely not a Riju Hong. He's not one of these guys that's making plays that's, out on his own. I think he just focuses on healing too much.
Yeah.
And that's something Jonak has brought up in interviews in the past, that he is a healer second, and a goddamn DPS first. I think he's the best Widow on the team. Jonak is.
Oh, yeah. I was so confused.
Raucus is definitely not the best Widow on the team. Best hair on the team, but that's...
Best hair, yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the things that, I don't mean to derail. I'm not trying to make excuses for the beating we took. But yeah, if we take a beating like this, I don't even know if we need to win these next 2 matches, because we don't deserve to be there. We gotta...
Yeah, I need to go back and watch at least the highlights from this one just to see what it... I mean, because 4-0 that's a rough one.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, so I made this pick early on just because we hadn't seen San Fran or NYXL, and we hadn't talked about them. So I thought it'd be cool to see these guys.
Yeah.
Especially going in the end of this. But yeah, so NYXL, San Francisco Shock, we start us off at Kings Row. And like I said, this is going to be a short one just because of kind of the relaxed play style NYXL is having right now. And it's kind of a
laid back,
free love. They really taking their minds off the game at this one. But yeah, so San Fran does do a great job holding off point 1 for a little bit against a double sniper from NYXL. Like I said, we see Libero on the Hanzo, we see SBB sometimes on the Widow, but it looks like everybody is like, all right, we'll go to different points of the map at this point and see who comes out on top. That's what NYXL looked like when they're fighting this thing. San Fran does a really good job. Okay. Yeah, I know, right? I'm 17 beers in. I can't say that. San Fran do a great job holding, and then they do a great job holding in the streets. They are able to hold NYXL at that corner.
Yeah.
And I thought this was going to be another NYXL matchup where they'd be like, yeah, San Francisco, we'll give you this one. You guys need in the playoffs too. But San Francisco decides to fuck that up. And they do take an early 2 ticks off NYXL, but NYXL turns on the gas, hops down on the point, calm and collected.
Yeah.
While Jonak
stays in that damn building. Dude. Yeah. I've actually never seen a Zenyatta post up there.
Dude, he is tearing these people up there, too.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like more than a Bastion would because he has the Discord on whatever target he wants to pick. I bet he doesn't even call out Discord targets.
Probably not.
Nah. He just picks a target Jonak wants to kill. We're going to have a segment at some point in this.
You know what? You mentioned that, but there's a point to where D.Va... Okay, so he's firing at point. He has the Discord orb on the main targets, and then D.Va goes like behind the bridge, that arch, and he just puts it on D.Va and starts shooting at D.Va.
Yeah,
D.Va's nowhere near the fight, doesn't care, and it's hilarious. And the other part is Libero's just blowing it. Like Libero's not doing well here.
No,
but they're still able to just beat up on San Francisco.
I'm telling you. NYXL is holding back, and they have these moments where they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna win this map. I know we said we were gonna give San Fran Kings Row. Fuck it. They just hop down on the point and they wipe them like it was nothing, dude. It was insane to watch. And San Francisco get they get the 2 ticks, they get nothing past that. NYXL win this one. Looked like they didn't try. Didn't look like they tried at all.
Oh my gosh.
So. That brings us into Hanamura, where NYXL start us out on attack with a traditional dive comp with a Pharah, which we don't see a lot out of NYXL. Libero generally will be on the Genji. I guess Genji Tracer right now, not the most ideal, depending on if the other team has a Brogan or not. But, switch it up. Fuck it. You're already in. Try some different shit.
Yeah.
They are able to get point 1 pretty quickly on their second try at it, and then go into point 2, and what is the most insane fight I've ever seen, besides like last point fights, which is a point 2 fight for 2.5 minutes, where NYXL gets 0% out of it, but it looks like they won the fight the whole time.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre to watch because Libero is getting these weird picks on Pharaoh where he's hiding up on the balcony thing where no one can get to him because the Widow can't transfer over to the other side and get picks on him. And he's getting these weird picks, but it's not enough to get there. And they finally say, you know what? Fuck it. We'll wipe. We'll start over. They come right back in. Libero has a barrage, get a big 3K, and they kill him. Not able to get back on the point after that. Sanfran is, So they get it, not a lot of time in the time bank. I think they have maybe, what you have down, 2 minutes?
Yeah, 132.
132. Okay, yeah. So still a lot of opportunity there for San Francisco. It's weird seeing Baby Bay on the Brogan, isn't it? Yeah,
and they mentioned it. They talked about, Architect, the whole communication issue they've been having, which caused a lot of breakdown. And with Baby Bay being so vocal and has been getting better, it's just fine to have him in there now as Architect tries to pretty much work on his communication. Like he just learned English to come over here kind of thing. Yeah. So
I don't know. I think sometimes you sacrifice just being insane at the game, like Architect has showed us over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. We had one day where I was kind of iffy on him, and then from that point forward,
turn it around.
Yeah,
insane play. Yeah. Not holding anything against Baby Bay's an insane hit scan player. I think going from playing a hit scan to playing a this brawler type of hero, the positioning is really weird, and it shows.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's not 100% his fault that he gets picked by Junkrat 700 times on point one, but Jesus, he finds the tire one time. He just gets beat up the entire time.
Doesn't he? He charges a tire in this game, I believe, at one point. He does a shield bash on a tire.
Yeah. But so after a few attempts, they are finally able to get it. I think a lot of that has to do with Sinatra, and not only on point one, but point two, he is an insane Zarya. And I watched this, this kid for a year and a half now play Zarya Tracer, mainly Tracer, but Zarya as well. He can switch over to this character, and he stays high charge the entire time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A lot of these guys that are switching over to the Zarya now, because obviously she's a better pick than D.Va in the meta. They stick around 40. Sinatra goes point to point at 80. Yeah, he sticks at it the entire time, and he helps him snowball point two. And they have a much bigger time bank than NYXL.
Yeah, between him and Chohoibin. Chohoibin has a lot of 2K bombs this match.
Yeah.
He gets some solid bombs. And the funny thing is, because we're not seeing much D.Va right now, we're not seeing many solid bombs or solid performance on her. Since obviously your pool's lower, right? Or smaller, your sample size. So yeah, he's him in conjunction with Sinatra. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I like the fact that Choibin is an aggressive D.Va too. He will get in your face and splash those bombs down on you too, for sure. Yeah. So we bring him back to NYXL, trying again to take point one. With such a little time bank, I didn't expect them to be able to take it, and they do not. Mm-hmm. Sinatra. I can't remember who was on the Junkrat for San Francisco, but they had Junkrat as well. They just hold him back. A minute 30. NYXL is just not able to get any ultimates built up. It's not enough time to really set up anything. And so we, switch it back over to San Francisco. And they try the big tank comp again with Baby Bay on the brig. They set up a spot where they're on the point. They get 2 kills. They're on the losing side at one point after that, because Baby Bay steps off the point and tries to, I don't know what he's doing out there. He's trying to snipe with that long chain thing because he thinks he's on Widow. Yeah. And he gets killed, and it just kind of turns the whole thing around. And it kind of, sets up the story where it's a draw. A draw on Hanamura, where San Francisco's got, 2.5 minutes going into point two. Not a ton of time, but plenty of time going into point one to maybe get a tick. Just not able to do it. So, kind of
definitely an interesting one. I would say I would put this one as map of the match just because it makes the most sense. It's the longest one for sure.
Yeah, got a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, the other ones are kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, and especially because that 2 minute 0% gain from New York is just a cool fight to watch, even though it's not anything that's it didn't get anything done. But it's a cool map or fight to watch for sure.
They did it on purpose.
Yeah. So yeah. So we get into Oasis. Pine is in, and I forgot to mention Janice had come out for mono and is back in for Oasis because he's that a little bit more aggressive style. Winston, New York likes to play,
which is funny because like when you see them, I would guess that mono's more aggressive because Janice is so chill and laid back.
Yeah, he looks chilled and laid back, doesn't he?
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, San Francisco take NYX off guard, and this is where the big tank comp worked because I guess Libero never switches over to a Pharah at any point where we know he plays this thing, but the speed and the health pool punish NYXL, and Pine kind of sticks to his guns for the most part, and he is on the Widow, and they just have too much HP, and they're too fast, not able to get any picks. They do take the point really quick, but just lose it. Yeah,
Liberals, you can tell he struggles here as far as picking a character.
Yeah.
And you notice, like, if you watch his character, is constantly, he's switching and switching back and stuff like that. He doesn't really know what he wants to do or what he needs to do. And when he does figure it out, it's kind of too late.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the same thing goes for map 2. It almost is the identical comp out of San Francisco, where they do the exact same thing. A lot of health. Pine even starts out on the Widow, and he realizes that maybe not the right choice because he eventually does switch back over to the Junkrat. And this is not a character that I think he's 100% on, like a hit scan character. And yeah, like I said, San Francisco just punishes this comp. Where we had saw early with Philly and Seoul, where EQO is able to punish this big tank comp that doesn't contest the fair. They never really switch over to a fair that can put a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, it's funny here because on City Center is an interesting one because it looks like NYXL is in control because there's even a point to where Philly pushes the door or pushes the spawn, right, to try to be more aggressive, and they send Janice over the top to go contest. He almost gets the full cap, back cap, and they turn around, and immediately when they start walking back, NYXL initiates a fight, and Janice jumps back on the front line, and then they're able to win that fight. So a lot of this it looks like NYXL's in control, but San Francisco pulls it out somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so San Francisco picks up their first win of the match.
Well, it's because NYXL wanted them to win.
I think so.
That's the only time you win is when they want you to.
And this is actually the point I was going to bring up because NYXL starts this off on attack on Dorado, and it looks like they're like going back and forth in their head. They're like, should we go to 5? Should we make it go to 5? Does Sour Patch Kids
exactly
want us to get?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That damn commercial.
Yeah, no joke. Or the pineapple falling on the car. Is that one?
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know which one that. I don't think I've seen that. I've only seen the couch one where they freeze the couch and make it into a throne or whatever.
Oh, so I think the pineapple one's a little bit older, where the pineapple falls onto this lady's car in a parking lot, and then they help her fix the car, but the pineapple's attached to the car. They're like, oh, they're first they're sour and then they're sweet. It's like, I didn't want a pineapple on top of my car. How about that?
I don't like sour candy.
Yeah. But yeah, so NYXL, SBB's back in for Pine, and they start us off on...
Smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. Pine a little underwhelming on this one. Looks like he's having a good time, though. That's all that matters.
That's what, he looks healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. They struggle at first. A part of that just having to do with I don't think they care. I don't think they care enough to make legitimate comp switches or give anything away because... I don't know. They start with double sniper, I think. SBB on the Widow and Libero on the Hanzo, and just kind of mess around. Eventually, they do get point 1, and then Libero does switch to a Pharah, and San Francisco doesn't ever do anything about it. They stick to the Brogan comp that we saw on Oasis, and never contest Libero.
Yeah. I mean, Baby Bay's the one person here that's actually doing really well by keeping the tanks from flanking. Because they're trying to get around.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Janice is like jumping very deep into point 2 territory.
Yeah, this is this is exactly why I thought they were messing around, because it looked like Janus was just going on these like
just running the spawn.
Yeah, I was like, what is he doing back there? This is not a legitimate strategy. No one does this. It was so funny. He's like flanking like a Genji was.
They're making up bold strategies, man.
You're huge. Everyone can see you.
It's funny because you see, like, they show Baby Bay's view, and he's far back, obviously. You just see this monkey, like, out the corner of your eye, jump over the over the arch.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not like a Genji that can like go back and hide. Like, dude, you're the biggest thing on the map. You're as big as the payload.
Exactly.
Everyone knows where you're at. So, yeah, it's just funny to watch them mess around. But yeah, so they jammed through all 3 points, and I didn't write anything down for San Francisco attack because
it doesn't matter.
It actually doesn't matter. Because I'm a little jaded here, because I knew the score going into this. I watched this after Saturday, and I was like, oh my. San Francisco was doing such a good job on defense a lot of these times. I thought they would at least put up a fight on defense, and they did on point 1. Their offense has been a little sketchy, and it really shows here on especially the point 1 where they just get halted for the entire time.
Yeah, and it's a case here where let me see. So on defense, NYXL use that high ground comp. They do attack. They try the death ball situation.
Yeah.
But Jonak is just crushing it here. He's just cleaning up kills, and they can't really get through it. So they don't need the splash from afar. They don't need anything to deal with that death ball because Jonak's just doing it himself.
Right.
And then they have no answer. They do end up getting Libero on the Pharah and SBB on the Widow, but they have no answer to that either. So you have Jonak, SBB, and Libero. That's half the team you can't deal with. You're not doing anything.
Attacking from so many angles. And I think this is what it gets scary. Because it was funny because one of the commentators mentioned they have every person, like every one of their players is the best Tracer or the best Pine is the best Widow.
Yeah.
And Jonak's the best Zenyatta. How do you beat a team like that that's also very coordinated?
Yeah. You don't.
You don't.
As we proved by their map differential.
I guess we'll see in 2 weeks if anybody's cut out to even take some maps off these guys. Because I'm predicting right now, and I hate to be this guy, I'm predicting these guys are very dominant in the playoffs.
They just roll everybody.
I hate to say it, man. I remember the last stage playoffs where they looked like they were pulling strategies out that no one had seen before. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid that's what we're going to see. And Los Angeles, both the Los Angeles teams that are pretty much a shoe-in for this, are just not able to compete.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out real soon. It's going to be weird having, because we still have this Week 5 playoffs.
Yep.
So people can win more cash. And then we have the playoffs, and then the grand finals, right?
Right.
I think MVP is probably a wash. I think Jonak probably wins it by a landslide.
Yeah. Is it so? Are they just picking one MVP or one MVP?
Oh, I think maybe it's one per. I have not done it yet.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to lie.
I'm thinking Jonak wins all of them.
All of them, at least 2 of them.
Yeah. Maybe not Tank.
Yeah.
Maybe not Tank. I don't know. We'll see.
But I think overall he wins. They might have an overall though.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think every league
XQC maybe.
Shut up.
T-Mobile MVP XQC.
XQC is not even playing Overwatch anymore. I think he's playing like one of the
he still does some
games.
He does some streams with duos with Moxie, who's a DPS player. Yeah, for a little bit, but then he does variety stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate things. It seems like a lot of the streamers right now aren't playing Overwatch, like the big ones. Like the Fran's not playing much. FCC's
he plays
not playing much.
He plays a little in the morning, then does other things.
Calvin's not playing much. That's because there's 18 million Battle Royale games out.
Yeah, where's the Overwatch Battle Royale game?
I hope it never comes out.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm just going to hide. I'm going to hide on Junkrat and just mine up. Can't do anything. I'm in a corner. I'm going to spam me down.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the week, man. I mean, this was a long one, wasn't it? It's pretty chunky compared to...
not too shabby.
Yeah, not too shabby. We're covering...
But yeah, good week. Here. A lot of cool matches, for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, is there anything else that kind of comes to mind?
No, excited to get into week 5 in the playoffs.
Yeah, so you guys know where you guys can reach us. As always, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Reddit, Instagram. You can reach us at any of those by any of those avenues. And then our email is thebirdwatcherspodcast@gmail.com. Send us comments, questions. People have actually been responding on Reddit because we try to keep this weekly posted, either the Monday or Tuesday following the previous week. And people are kind of active and listening and letting us know that they like it and to keep it up. So we're gonna keep it up.
Most definitely.
Yeah, we're still thinking about how we're gonna handle postseason since that's coming up. And we'll figure that out, and we'll be very transparent about what that format will look like. But there'll be plenty of Overwatch. The game's fine. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe what you hear people saying. It's not dying.
No,
it's nowhere near that.
Absolutely not. Yeah, we'll see a huge spike, I'm sure, playoff time too. Cool. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Peace.
I have destroyed more of your kind than I can count.
You weren't given those guns to toss them around like trash.
I don't take